Hi everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to the Fashion Bunker. David Lynch, what are you doing to me? Ugh. Twin Peaks Season 3 or Twin Peaks 2017 Episode 5. 5 is my lucky magic number. I love number 5. It's the perfect unity, and it's the connection between the 2 and the 3, the female and the male, and the unity is like bam. But that's as far as numbers go. I'm not going to go deeper into that. I actually wrote down a lot of notes and stuff. So this episode, this is the best so far. First and foremost because, okay, spoiler alert. I got to say there's going to be spoilers, right? Anyway. You know how I analyze these episodes. To me, it doesn't go chronologically. It's all just a mental state of inspiration, what it makes me feel, where Mark Frost and David Lynch drag me, how good the actors were, the inspiration and all that jazz. So, first and foremost, I'm going to begin towards the end of the episode by saying, in awe and delight and so thrilled to have seen Nadine finally. She's my favorite character from Twin Peaks. I know she's not... a lot of people don't see her as their favorite. It's usually Cooper or the Log Lady. I do love the Log Lady so much. I never really had a bond with Cooper. I mean, I like Cooper, but he's not like Nadine. Oh my God. In that scene, when she's looking at Dr. Jacoby, actually, I had to write his name down because I'm really bad with names because he has a new name. Dr. Amps. And Amps, interesting that he calls himself Dr. Amps, and the actual advertisement for the shovels has electric amps kind of coming out of the shovel, and it's 3 of them. I gotta get numbers. And there's 3 Coopers. I don't know. Well, we're going to get to that maybe later if I remember. But I thought that was really fascinating to have the golden shovels with electricity. And we know that he's just doing a commercial. How much does he want for them? $29.99 plus shipping and handling. For the shovel your way out of shit and into the truth. Shovel your way out of the shit and into the truth. Oh my God, loving the advertisement, loving the commercial. And what I'm loving even more is the fact that he's doing what I'm doing right now. He's literally, he did a live transmission. I'm filming myself before I actually transmitted to you guys. But it's you know what I mean? Buy the monolith, Twin Peaks monolith, help yourself towards the truth, and out of the shit, monolith, for only $29.99 plus shipping and handling. And Nadine is watching the live transmission. And she is so... She did not say a word. There was no text. The actress did not talk. But just her presence, the fragility, how fragile she is, how she looks, the charisma that woman as an actress has, and how she kind of emanates it. It's heartbreaking and heartwarming at the same time. It was such a great... I went yes, Nadine, finally. I love her so much. And to see her so mesmerized by Dr. Jacoby's, talk. I mean, he's like a freedom fighter in a way, even though he's trying to sell his golden shovels. But then again, I was thinking, $29.99, he still had to order them. They got delivered. He put a lot of time and effort into spray painting them in the first episode or the first 2 episodes and turning them into gold shovels. It's not like he just pooped them out. The guy actually spent time and a lot of effort and attention to detail to create those shovels. If I would know how much attention to detail one would really pay into these sort of gadgets and gadgets that they sell online like that or on TV, and if I would see how much love, he put all the love went into making it, I would also buy it. $29.99 is fine. A lot of effort and labor went into that shovel. And, what do we call it? The shovel your way out of shit and into the truth. Gold shit digging shovel. P.O. Box 479, Twin Peaks. So he is in Twin Peaks. He's not in Hawaii. Obviously. But, Nadine. Oh, still her eye patch. The hair is shorter. Her forehead got bigger. She looks much more noble now. I mean, when she gets older, she looks almost like she could act as Queen Elizabeth in some Elizabethan movie, That's how regal and majestic she actually looks. And she's in this office, and you can see there's a lot of office books and stuff. You could see she has dinero. You could see that she's kind of probably doing her own office work. Like, she has her own business. And she's so proud of Jacoby, how she's looking at him. And I don't know, she just talks so much just through her eyes and through the tension of her face and how she's watching. And then we also have Jerry, Benjamin's brother, Horn, also watching Jacoby. But he's like somewhere in the forest. I don't know. He's just live streaming him in the forest. Anyway, we're getting more and more Twin Peaks. Finally, we get to see the Double R Diner. Norma and Shelley are still working there. We knew that was going to happen from the photo shoots and the covers that we've seen of Entertainment Weekly and so on, and the images that have been shown officially by Showtime and I guess Lynch or Mark Frost in the past. But, you know, still, when we are in the Double R Diner, there's so much light. The shots that we've seen are kind of, some of them definitely were on location, and there's a lot of light coming from the outside of the windows, and I'm missing that kind of studio atmosphere a little bit. I'm missing that coziness. It's very open. Also, like the Twin Peaks Sheriff's building, you know, when Deputy Hawk and Andy are kind of looking through the files, you know, that room now has all those windows that are very visible, and there's a lot of nature behind those windows. Like, there's so much more light filtering through things now as it did in the 90s, and I'm missing that a little bit more, not claustrophobic feeling, but like the feeling of being closed in an environment together with the characters of Twin Peaks. Now I have the feeling everything can leak out at any moment. And it kind of annoys me and it bugs me because I have to get used to it. So the Double R Diner, as the sheriff's office or the sheriff's building, but in particular the meeting room, is filtering a lot of light and air. So that kind of irritated me a little bit. And also the lack of music. The lack of Angelo Badalamenti's music. Nevertheless, yes, we knew Amanda Seyfried was going to be, you know, Shelley's daughter, and bam, she is. I'm a little bit irritated also by Mädchen Amik's hairdo. It's too preppy and perfect for a girl working as what is this, stewardess, as a hostess or whatever in a bar or a restaurant or a diner. It's too Hollywood, and I have a sneaky suspicion. Mädchen, I love you. No, girl, I love you. I write about you on Twitter. I praise you in whatever you do, whether it be Riverdale or whatever, you know. But I don't know if it was you, but I have a sneaky suspicion it was you who kind of pressed to have that perfect hair, that Hollywood hair. And unfortunately, this causes one thing for me. It kicks me out of your character. I don't see Shelley, but I see Mädchen Amik. But I would like to see Shelley. And Shelley, you know, in the 90s, I mean, sure, there was a different fashion and style, and the hair was supposed to be a bit more natural looking. But I would have liked to see Shelley, not shabby, but a bit more down to earth. You're too perfect. You know, Mädchen Amik is gorgeous, is perfect. And her styling and the makeup artist and her hair is just too perfect for the role of Shelley. So it keeps kicking me out. I keep seeing Mädchen Amik instead of seeing Shelley. So that does bother me a little bit, especially considering the fact that the younger actors in the show look fucked up if they need to be fucked up. You know, Becky's boyfriend, oh my God, he looks creepy. I was thinking Macaulay Culkin was supposed to be cast for that part, but they couldn't get him, so they got somebody that looks like him. I don't know. Maybe. It's a theory. It's a supposition, but still quite fucked up look. I have an issue with Becky getting high on supposedly coke. That must have been some other drug. Now, listen. Now you're going to be like, how do you know? Don't ask too many questions. There are mysteries and secrets everywhere. But analytics of a certain type of drug do show that cocaine retracts all the muscles at once when you take it. You literally get like a cramped thing. She was high as a kite in the car. As beautiful as that scene was, and as beautiful as Amanda Seyfried is, and, you know, just like laying on the, you know, leaning on the car, and then like the camera just like filming her. It was beautiful to watch, yes. But her kind of being so like melting and being high and happy like that ain't coke. It ain't. That's something else. Because on coke she would have been more like in the moment, in the zone, there. she wouldn't be spacing out, tripping out. So I don't know what that thing was. Anyway, I don't see her at all with that guy. I forgot his name. I forgot his name because I didn't really like him. So whatever. I don't feel the chemistry between them two. The way Mike reacted to him when he was kind of applying for a job almost made me think like Mike is his dad. And he's just like being so angry with him because he's like, oh my God, you're such a loser. I've raised a loser. I don't know. Probably not his dad, but it felt like it could have been his dad. It was great to see Mike again. I missed Bobby in this episode. Okay, Cooper. Okay, well, I'm all over the place. Bob. Now, one thing is really interesting about Bob. When the evil Cooper is in prison looking at himself in the mirror, what does he say? I need the exact words. The words are important. More than numbers, I would say, at least for me. God, I have so many things here so many pages. You know what? I have to start making drawings of these things because just like text. Okay, I have the cow jumped over the moon. That's what he says after the chaos in the prison. Whatever. Now that everyone's here, I will make my phone call. He wanted everybody to know what was going on. Yes, that is true. Mr. Strawberry, he's not taking calls. So he's not going to call Mr. Strawberry. He says, Mr. Strawberry, the cop goes, how does he know? Scary. Mr. Strawberry. I know who to call. Then he dials many numbers, and then everything goes ballistic. The prison starts collapsing. System failure. We know that Cooper had some coordinates and system to kind of access that particular prison where he wants to be. He is exactly where he needs to be because he wants to get to Ray, I suppose, who has some coordinates. He says something like, oh, good, you're still with me. And good, you're still with me, as we see that slight morph of the mimics of the face and this particular wrinkle there, typical for Bob, kind of just like pops into that mirror and then it kind of fades out again. Why would he need to say, good that you're still with me? Who was saying that? Was Bob still saying that to Cooper's body? No. He wouldn't need to say that to Cooper's body, like saying, okay, good that the body's still working in my favor. Because why would he need to say that? The body's obviously working in his favor because Bob's in it and the body's functioning and, walking and reacting and doing stuff that allegedly Bob wants it to do. No, I think everything is three. There are three Coopers, there's another entity inside that body. In addition to maybe Bob. Maybe there's two of them in there. And I know a lot of you have been talking about Wyndham Earl. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Wyndham Earl and Bob kind of blended in together. And now what is talking in that mirror, saying, good, you're still with me, in a way, Bob. It's as if maybe Cooper through Wyndham is saying that to Bob. Just like double checking. Because Cooper as a body is right now believed to be Dougie. So the good Cooper is not the Cooper with the long hair. So when the Cooper with the long hair, I'm not even calling him Evil Cooper anymore, just the Cooper with the long hair, says, good that you're still with me. It's as if something else inside of him was saying that to a Bob inside of him. Because when he saw the kind of the mimic of the face morphing in the mirror, it was like, okay, good, you're still there. So there's more to this than just Bob and Cooper. There's a divine trinity here. Very religious, actually, if you think about it. The three Coopers, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. And now we have kind of this entity that's inside of this long-haired Cooper that's kind of a double entity. It's a theory, but any theory goes. No, I've never seen anybody say anything about the Rancho Rosa or Rosa. I mean, a lot of people are saying a lot about it, but nobody said one particular thing that I've noticed. I mean, it's a stupid thing, but Rancho Rosa, the logo of it is a circle, and then there's an R and an R in there. Well, that's the double R. What else is a double R in Twin Peaks? Any guesses? The Double R Diner. There's a connection. Whatever. Okay, the mafia, I call her the mafia woman. The woman that opens up the show, actually, she's like calling and like we're trying to figure out what's happening here. There's like there's one gang that's passing in front of the house somewhere in Las Vegas where Dougie left the car parked after he was with Jade in bed. And then, the actual... this is super complicated. So there's the mafia woman, and she's talking to these mafiosi people. What? Like, are they supposed to steal the car, Dougie's car? I don't think so. And why I don't think that is because after that she types in a message to kind of unlock some coordinates or something to activate the Buenos Aires, the Buenos Aires gidget that then long-haired Cooper ultimately kind of activates fully, and then the whole kind of gidget disappears or turns into a microchip or some sort of miniature something. We don't know what it is, but she initiates it. So was she the secretary or the this or the that the long-haired Cooper was talking to Ray about, wanting to meet her, needing to meet her? Maybe she's the one that has those coordinates, and she begins the episode by sending off whatever she needed to send off through this text message system, hence activating that device. And then long-haired Cooper finally activates it towards the end of the episode when he kind of sends the prison into tilt, which could also be kind of a time warp lapse thing happening. Maybe when she sent those coordinates, nothing really happened to the gidget in Argentina, but rather we just saw an initial bit of what actually Cooper would do towards the long-haired Cooper would do towards the end of the episode, because when he kind of types in the coordinates through the phone of the prison, then the actual machine kind of lights up with the two lights and shrinks. What we see at the beginning of the episode is the machine turned off and the two lights just light up and start beeping, and then we have a cut of the scene, and then like all the way at the end of the episode we have that flashing again and then it shrinks. So complicated. I'm not so sure whether or not she is related to that or not, but she was really afraid to kind of launch that message or send it, so maybe it is connected. But then we have these two cars passing by the car, Dougie's car. The first car that passes by Dougie's car to check if Dougie is still there actually is the car, or is part of that gang, I suppose, that planted the bomb underneath the car. As that car passes by, another black car passes by with like really loud music, and also kind of checks out, the car, and then they leave. And then you start thinking, oh, okay, there's two bands of hooligans or whatever. Oh my God, I got something in my eye. That one... Dougie dead. Fast forward, kid from the neighbor house with a drugged mother, kind of, he saw them planting the thing under the car in previous episodes. So we're thinking, oh my God, the kid's going to explode, but the kid doesn't explode, thank God. So anyway, he goes to the car, and then the band with the black car that did not plant the bomb, that knows nothing of the bomb, arrives and kind of kicks the kid away. And they kind of get into the car, and the car explodes. Did they just want to steal the car? What do they have to do with Dougie, and why did they have to steal the car of Dougie? Because they're part of the band, of the gang, that was related to the woman that called or sent the coordinates at the beginning of the episode to Buenos Aires. Now, I think the good Cooper is still receiving so much help from the Black Lodge or the White Lodge or from wherever. Why? Because this was all a setup in order for that one particular gangsta to kind of burn in the fire from the exploding car. And why am I saying this? It's also planted out so that when the actual other car that was there first, that planted the bomb there, that wants to see Dougie dead, that maybe is working for the Cooper with the long hair, and the Cooper with the long hair wants the other Cooper dead for obvious reasons, because that's the way that he would live, because as we know, Mike from the Black Lodge from the Red Room said, one of you must die. You can't both live. So the Black Lodge must be setting this up, and actually is helping Cooper again, because this dead, burned body in front of the car might appear to be a burnt, dead Dougie to the other car that planted the bomb that will pass by again in probably the next episode. So they were going to see this body, or the cops are going to announce that there's a dead body, and then these people that were hired to kill Dougie are going to think, oh, Dougie died. Dougie tried to get his car back and he's dead. So there's not going to be a hunt open anymore for Dougie because they're going to think he's dead. You know what I mean? So I think that was kind of, again, the Black Lodge working for Cooper. On another note, the Black Lodge is also working for Cooper because as Dougie's kind of struggling and still, in his post-stroke situation is kind of going to work, one of his colleagues is lying about the insurance company, which we find out he's working for an insurance company, about an insurance deal, lying to his boss. Well, we don't know if he's lying to his boss, but Cooper sees this kind of flash of green light on the face of this guy and says he's lying. And all of a sudden, like, his real Cooper voice comes out and says he's lying. He just reacted to that light. Like, he got that kind of force or power within him to regain sanity and mental stability for 1 nanosecond, and then lost it again as the light disappeared. And then everybody was like, what the fuck are you talking about? What do you mean lying? And then his boss called him to the office, blah, blah, blah. But I think that, again, that was the Black Lodge not quite working in order to unveil the fact that his colleague is a douchebag, liar, criminal, but rather to set up the scenario and situation for Dougie's boss to call him into the office later on and say, why did you attack my best agent? Another keyword that triggers Coop's, memory, says agent. Like, oh yeah, I'm an agent too. I'm a special agent of the FBI. So I think all of that was set up again, all those steps kind of building up to that moment that the Black Lodge or the White Lodge again, or whoever's helping Cooper, the good Cooper, to kind of help him regain his memory. Because passing through that electrical socket in episode 3, exiting the Black Lodge or whatever it was that he was exiting and entering the real world again, or what we think is the real world, because it might not even be the real world, it might still be a dream, he got electrocuted. Because I had this theory that he was, just like 25 years in the slow down pace state where, the spirit and the body were detached. But maybe he was still really, he could talk in the Black Lodge, even though he was more calm. But now I'm having the feeling that he literally just got a stroke, such an electrical shock by passing through that electricity to get back into the real world, that he literally is living on this tight electrical, he had a stroke. He's a stroke victim. My grandfather, may he rest in peace, he was also a stroke victim. Actually, he had 2 or 3 of them. He walked the same way Dougie walks. He needs rehab, basically. I think he's going to need more than just Black Lodge helping him by making other people say keywords that trigger certain memories and stuff, or drinking coffee. Yeah, we get it that he loves coffee. Those are like pure instincts that remain intact even though you've had a stroke. Certain pleasure, how would you call it? Like pleasure centers in the brain, they remain the same. They haven't been affected by the stroke, but there's a definitely mobility impediment there. He's not mobile as he used to be, and there's a speech impediment, obviously. So that could take months, years to rehabilitate. So I'm starting to worry that this return to Twin Peaks, why Showtime is calling it The Return. It's literally Cooper's return to Twin Peaks, or return to himself. It might take longer than just the 18 episodes. It might all end with him inside of himself, being in the black and white room with the giant, like understanding, talking, being all clear, but not being able to kind of get, almost being autistic on the outside of himself, but surrounded by the people that care for him back in Twin Peaks or whatever, wherever he's going to be at the end, but surrounded by the right people to help him heal. Maybe that's going to end that way. Not sure. You never know. But he's going through this process of kind of, and it's annoying and frustrating. And I know a lot of you really are loving the Coop, Dougie. Actually, some of the actors say Dougie, some say Doogie. So I kind of like Dougie. I don't know, but to me it's very frustrating to see a Cooper that's not fully himself. It's kind of painful to watch. It's cute in a way, but I'm like, we got it. Can we move on now? I also want to see other developments, other things happening. Krista Bell. Now, as much as I spoke against her in my past video, I have to say in this episode, some people say, oh, well, she didn't talk and she was still bad. I don't think that she was bad. She was okay. And, I start feeling for her. Why do I start feeling for her now? I start feeling for her because I think David is also with Truman, with Sheriff Truman, when his wife comes in and she starts yelling at him. And David is depicting her, or Mark Frost, or both of them together, the woman as being the hysterical one. in this heterosexually normed world. And it kind of bugs me. And the same thing that happened, with the camera panning down at Christabel's behind in the other episode when Gordon Cole was looking at her. Men are always too cool for school in this show, and women are slightly hysterical. That's starting to annoy me too. I could see all these kind of, people, especially like straight guys, who are going to laugh at the scene of Sheriff Truman's wife kind of almost attacking him hysterically. That's not how things always are. I know plenty guys that are just as, if not even more hysterical than Sheriff Truman's wife was depicted to be as a hysterical woman in the show. And no, they're not gay. A lot of them are straight. A lot of them are gay. I know a lot of different people. So David, that's where we see your age filtering through. You gotta adapt more to the times. It can't just be women that are always freaky that way. I don't know. But anyway, that's a side note. Let's see. What did I write down? Okay, the body in the morgue. Major Briggs. Now, they find in Dakota, or wherever they are, Dougie's ring inside the body that is allegedly Major Briggs's body. But we find out later that the Pentagon, is telling us, well, there's been 16 or 14 throughout all of these years and decades, 14 to 16, I forgot the number, cases where Major Briggs's body was allegedly found, but then it turned out to be a hoax or not true. And so they're suspecting that this time around, the body will again not be really Briggs's body, which is really interesting because why would anybody fake his body over and over and over again? And why would there be a ring inside the body? Now, this is where I see Bob. We are missing female dead bodies in the term of how we saw the victim female bodies in the 90s Twin Peaks. Nails. And the signature of the criminal, of this demonic criminal who wants to tease the people and just give them little hints about himself because he's proud of what he's doing. He feels pleasure in what he's doing. And he finds pleasure in torturing people, letting them know that there's an entity doing this. That there's a connection between, and driving people crazy and mad into trying to understand what's going on. These little letters that spell out the name Robert under nails, until now, this element has been missing from Twin Peaks. But we have a ring inside the body of this alleged Major Briggs. That is very much so also kind of a signature of a killer. Did Bob place that ring inside that body just to kind of prove his point, just to show off, just to be able to say, I can do it? Catch me, I'm telling you who I am, I'm leaving tracks everywhere. And he is leaving tracks because Cooper didn't change the long-haired Cooper did not change his name. And again, I said this in my other video, he's been running away. He hasn't been running away from anybody. He didn't change his name. And yet in 24 to 25 years, the feds did not manage to find him, even though he was going with his real name. It's insane. I don't get it. To me, that's a flaw in the story, in the plot line, unless they're going to have an explanation for that in the future. But anyway, the signature of the killer. Now, there's also another, so he wants to have Dougie's ring in the stomach. So we kind of start thinking, oh, wait a minute. I mean, the cops, the police in Twin Peaks, not in Twin Peaks, in Dakota, wherever they are, start thinking about a signature of a killer, a homicidal maniac, whatever. But then I thought to myself, wait a minute. Dougie did not have his wedding ring on anymore. He had the Black Lodge ring on his finger. I mean, the Owl Cave ring. He had to exchange that. He had to exchange his wedding ring. And he's a gambler. So who knows how he got in possession of that ring. I mean, actually, Dougie was created. Perhaps a way to create Dougie was by stealing somebody else's identity. Maybe that body that we think is Briggs is in reality the real Dougie. That was not Cooper, but another Dougie, just some Douglas, somebody Dougie, whatever person. And in this ritual of transformation and transformation of perception of reality of all the people surrounding him, Bob or whoever, part of this ritual is to kind of swallow your own ring and whatever, there could have been some sort of transformation, just as we see Dougie shrinking in the Black Lodge, disappearing, and just like a golden kind of pearl just falls on the chair, and that kind of symbolizes him, and the ring falls, the owl cave ring falls off his finger, and then like kind of his purpose has been fulfilled and done. Dougie's gone. So as a spirit, don't you remember that every time people see the real Cooper dressed as Dougie, they all remember him as Dougie, they all say, Dougie, you lost so much weight. The dead body is big. The dead body that's found in Ruth Davenport's apartment. That could have been the real Dougie. Think about it. And the other Dougie was created. So, they also say Bob, you can only see Bob if you're doomed or damned or something else. So we are the ones that also saw at the end of season 2 the reflection of Cooper in the mirror of the bathroom as Bob. We could be the doomed and the damned. We're all going to die sooner or later anyway. So in a way, we all are doomed. But what if we are capable of seeing the Cooper Dougie, but the other people in that reality in the show actually see the fake Dougie, the chubby one without a head? There could be a flaw to this theory, because why would then, when the real Cooper exits the Black Lodge, why would people still see Dougie in him? They still recognize the face. So maybe that Cooper still has some sort of spell on him. I don't know, but I'm thinking, why would there be Dougie's ring in that body? And why did Dougie not wear his own wedding ring, but instead the Owl Cave ring? I think that there was a transformation there. And there has been probably, because there have been alleged findings of Major Briggs that then wasn't Major Briggs, findings of that kind many times throughout the, like up to 16 times throughout the years. And this is fascinating too, because Major Briggs has been kind of in contact with these kind of alien entities or forces in season 1 and 2. We see him disappear and then reappear, and he also has the kind of that tattoo on his body. So maybe he has that something that's connected to the lodges that now gives him that power, or he has been chosen by them, by these creatures, to, I don't know, maybe he has that sort of something in him that now allows Bob to kind of reuse his fingerprints or his essence in a way to kind of recreate, like as a formula, as an ingredient to recreate these doppelgangers. You know what I mean? Like you need an essence, you need a little 2 drops of DNA of Garland Briggs, you need 2 drops of DNA of Cooper, 3 drops from Wyndham Earl. You mix it all up together, you put in a potion and lotion, a little bit of magic and a little bit of Mustang and horses, and then like you get a doppelganger. You know what I mean? So that could be also kind of some sort of reasoning behind that body. Anyway, moving on. Just something to think about. Of course, I'm not saying any of this is, it's just my speculation and stuff that inspire me to think about. The mirror scene here, now I finally find it when I don't need it anymore. Cooper Bob, mirror scene in prison. You're still with me. That's good. And then the morphing. This could also mean that another entity is in Evil Cooper, which is what I already said. Thank you so much, Dacob, for repeating yourself. And that other entity could be Wyndham Earl. Funny moment in the morgue. I love how it begins in the morgue. With the dark morgue humor. Gotta love that moment. That was so epic. Okay, now here's something I don't understand. When Cooper won at the slot machines, it is said in episode 5 that he won $425,000. But I remember the guy giving him like around $29,000 only, up to $30,000, which was like the winnings of the 2 times he broke the jackpots. So maybe I'm confused about that. Maybe he did indeed win $425,000, but I thought the guy only gave him like $28,000 to $30,000. So where's the rest of the money? So when Jim Belushi and co kind of beat the crap out of the manager of the Mustang because they thought he was in on it, maybe he did take the rest of the money for himself and didn't give it to Cooper, or he did give it all to Cooper and I just misunderstood. That's also an option, probably, because again, I is bad with numbers, but. However it may be, I found that extremely vulgar, aggressive, so aggressive to beat the crap out of that poor guy who's just trying to do his job. I don't know, Belushi, I'm not liking his vibes. Not just as his character, I don't like him. I don't know what it is about him that he looks like a douchebag. Like he irradiates douchebag when in interviews and the thing. I mean, he's a good actor, hands down, but I just don't like the guy. The less he's on screen, the better. The three chicks, very Lynch, loved it. Slightly reminiscent, you know, of One Eye Jacks, except they're all now in like total plastic, pinky plat. But the three of them all together, again, it's like, you know, the three parke, you would say in Greek. The one that kind of, you know, spins the thread, twirls the thread, and one that cuts the thread of life, you know, those three witches. And they're kind of, he's hanging on a loose thread. So it's very fascinating, this number of these three. And again, three, recurrent number, the Divine Trinity. Yeah, Krista Bell. Okay, so I was saying about Krista, I mentioned it before, but I can say this again. Like, I have this issue with, kind of have the feeling that Lynch is almost making fun of her. I feel uncomfortable for her. So now all of a sudden she's becoming much more sympathetic to me, or I have more empathy for her. I feel for her struggle also as trying to act in this show. I felt I liked her in episode 5. Something about her was more human, more down to earth. I didn't feel like she was acting up like all this, like kind of stuck up, uptight, like I'm so particular. Like we lost that element now, and she's more grounded, even though maybe because she didn't talk. But I'm on her side. Krista, you're winning me over slowly but surely, dear. Okay, Jade the hookup. So they're cleaning her car, because who knows what, you know, they got to clean out of that car. But anyway, she finds this. And, you know, reads in the back, and you send it to the Great Northern Twin Peaks. This is Cooper's key, room 315, the Great Northern Hotel. Well, Jade, my dear, you did not send it back to the Great Northern. You sent it back to the Fashion Bunker. It arrived to me. Dacob has the key right now. So, guys, I'm your key to unlocking this mystery. Ha. Jade also sent me another gift. Murder mystery game, the Twin Peaks murder mystery game. Now, this is the stupidest game on the planet, but I love it to pieces because it's endless. There's no logic to it. Sometimes when I play it, I even suspect that Lynch had something to do with this, just creating like this game that keeps you running in circles and never saw. It's like a nightmare. It's like a dream. And if you have the pleasure of losing yourself within that running in circles, then this game is perfection. But if you're planning on kind of actually bringing something to an end and having some sort of logic in any way, then this game is not for you. But it's a collectible piece nowadays. It's really hard to find. I mean, this one was like literally from 1991. 1991. Copyright Twin Peaks Productions, all rights reserved. Here we have Laura Palmer's Diary. We have the donuts with the blood from Waldo. You know, and we have like kind of the visual also from Twin Peaks with population 51,201. Anyway, thank you so much, Jade. Very sweet of you. I'm gonna go to Cooper's room to figure stuff out. This is fascinating. So I have the feeling, and I had to write this down to not forget it. I'm good that I did, because otherwise I would have forgot it. Okay, let me just read this guys to you. It's like Lynch and Mark Frost took all the mysteries and unresolved or unsolved storylines from the first 2 seasons of Twin Peaks from the 90s, and instead of resolving them now, peu à peu, you know, little by little, what they're doing is they're adding more layers of mystery to each and every one of those unresolved mysteries that we already had. That's what's blowing our minds. This is, to me, the key to unlock why I am loving Twin Peaks even more now. They are addressing each and every single question that remained unsolved, and they're adding more on top of it. Instead of solving it, they're just saying, but careful, because this actually happened because of, and bam, and then you dig underneath, and there's like so much underneath that surface that you already thought was super deep. That's what's so fascinating to me. And on top of that, they're adding new plot lines, new storylines, new mysteries, and new characters. So that's what makes it so rich and dense. I'm loving it so much, so much. Who is Charlotte at the Roadhouse. And who is the douchebag guy? Somebody's son. He seems to have power in Twin Peaks. He does seem to have power in Twin Peaks, and he seems to be a total douchebag. He does grab Charlotte by the neck, very much like long-haired Bob Cooper did as well in episode 2 with, already forgot her name, before he kills her. I don't know how that could be related to Bob, how that guy, but he definitely is some sort of criminal in Twin Peaks and has kind of that charming, attractive, douchebag male attitude about him that attracts all these like kind of innocent chicks. Red balloons all over the show. These are my notes. Red balloons are everywhere. We have the mother that says 119, 119, the drug addict mom that lives right in front of Dougie. Well, not where Dougie lived, but where Dougie had his sexcapade with Jade. Sexcapade with Jade? That's a t-shirt for you. Red balloon there. Red balloon at birthday party for Dougie's son, alleged son. So often we have this situation where colors, especially reds, blues, and stuff like that, are used, not necessarily to hint at real concrete solutions to mysteries and puzzles and questions that are posed or that have been posed within a storyline, but rather to emphasize a mood and a setting. They're also strategically, often by directors, placed into scenario scenes, photos, or movies to trigger the most basic and fundamental instinct within fellow human beings, which is the hunter instinct. It triggers in us that need and necessity and kind of desire to dig for more, to dig deeper, to get closer to the truth. And of course, all of these, like Twin Peaks and co, are creations, are fantasy creations, are creations of other artists. So there is no real truth there. There's just a kind of a version of the facts invented and created by the creators of the show. I ask myself often, why don't we invest so much energy, and passion towards unveiling the real truth, what surrounds us, the life that surrounds us, the questions that surround our lives. That's because we oftentimes think that what we have and what we're dealing with is not as interesting as something else, somewhere else. Neighbors' yard is always greener than our own. That's kind of a thing that we tend to do as human beings a lot, unfortunately. But anyway, the log lady. The log lady and I would like to say goodbye to you. We bid you adieu. Farewell. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please do thumb it up. If you haven't yet, but do wish to, please subscribe to my channel here on YouTube. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I and Laura Palmer, as you can see her here. Who killed Laura Palmer? We never give up on love, guys. And this question to me still remains unanswered. I still do not know who killed her, even though technically we know. I don't think that he did it. It's something else. Thank you so much for watching. Love you. See you soon. Take care. Bye.